So the things that are going to come out, as you know, I think the biggest name so far to come out is Jennifer Lopez. What did she know? When did she know it? Unless there's a change in circumstances. Oh, that's right. You don't like jail, and you're making friends with cockroaches. So is that your change in circumstances? The fact that you're living in a hellhole called jail and you're secluded and it sucks? Welcome to jail. That's what jail is all about. Jail is about making it it's punishment. I mean, it's not meant to be pleasant.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your very own personal board-certified criminal defense lawyer with our content genius, you know as Michael Rivers. Today we're reacting to just kind of the updated developments on P. Diddy and P. Diddy, Diddler, the Diddler, P. Diddler, the Diddler monster.
So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
But before we get to that, let's just give a shout out to our sponsor, eForms.com. eForms.com is a very effective way to use a legal document to protect your interests, whatever it may be, whether it's power of attorney, whether it's medical power of attorney, or if you got a grandma in your basement doing all kinds of crazy stuff, you need a bill of sale because you want to sell her apparatus that she uses for her OnlyFans feed page, well, you can do that. eForms.com, very effective way to protect yourself in and out of court and to avoid the high cost of a lawyer. eForms.com. Okay. So what is going on with the Diddler? The Diddler. Well, as you know, P. Diddy had these freak-offs.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
I think the freak-offs are only a portion of what he's really being charged with. But there's all kinds of, rumors and innuendos and things that are going on with his case that people don't know, so I'm here to give you the straight scoop. So let's start with the most recent developments. A new judge has been assigned to his case. If you remember when he made his last appearance, the judge said it's going to be reallocated to another judge. Arun Subramanian. This judge is now, they're going to make a third attempt at a bail argument. And they have some good arguments for bail. Number one, he's putting up $50 million. So that's huge collateral incentive to stick around. Number two, he's had 6 months to flee and he didn't flee. And number three, he was available to turn himself in, and they were constantly talking to the government to try to make arrangements for them to turn himself in, which they don't generally do. I've got a case right now. My client's got a federal indictment hanging out there, or I think she does, and it's pending indictment, and it's always secret. But the U.S. attorney's now gone ghost on me because they want her to get picked up instead of, and I'm saying, well, she'll turn herself in. Where should she do that? What's the safest thing? Because they don't want that argument. They don't want the argument that somebody's not a risk of flight. That they take that away. Well, we had to arrest them, Judge. So, but here's the thing. You've already had 2 bites at the apple, right? So you made your pitch to the magistrate. Magistrate turned you down. Then you appealed that to the district court judge. Now it's been reallocated. So why would unless there's a change in circumstances? Oh, that's right. You don't like jail, and you're making friends with cockroaches. So is that your change in circumstances? The fact that you're living in a hellhole called jail and you're secluded and it sucks? Welcome to jail. That's what jail is all about. Jail is about making it it's punishment. I mean, it's not meant to be pleasant. So what does he do? So he makes one more pitch to the judge. And here's the thing. Unless there's a real change in circumstances, which it doesn't seem like there are, like he's sick or needs an operation or he, I don't know what the circumstances that could change that would change the judge's mind. Keep in mind, another judge has already ruled that he hasn't overborne the presumption. And it's such a case where there aren't a condition or set of conditions that can assure his reappearance and protect the public. A judge has already ruled on that. So absent a change in circumstances, the new judge isn't going to rule on it, despite the fact that there's a new lawyer on the case. They've got some death penalty lawyer. It's not a death penalty type case, but they've got a lawyer with death penalty experience just because, I don't know, they may need some more talent, because guess what happens when you're sitting in jail? You start to question things. Is my lawyer doing everything my lawyer can do? Just because the lawyer didn't get him out of jail doesn't mean that he's not doing everything he can do. The case is the type of case where you're going to sit and you're not treated differently because you're P. Diddler Combs. I mean, you're not. So we got a new judge, a new attempt at trying to get out, which is not going to work. A judge is not going to overrule his buddy judge. It's just not going to happen. We got a new lawyer on the case because he's not getting out. So let's try something different, is what his theory is. And the jail conditions, he's probably just sitting in his cell, 6x8 cell, and just riding around on the back of a cockroach, and it's boring. I mean, and the conditions aren't the greatest. So the things that are going to come out, as I think the biggest name so far to come out is Jennifer Lopez. What did she know? When did she know it? Now, I'm not going to be a rumor monger, and I don't know what Jennifer Lopez knew or didn't know, and whether or not their breakup, between her and Ben Affleck are the result of something she may or did not do back in the 90s. I do like Ben Affleck's comment, though.
Parents of divorced kids, is for the children to see that the parents respect one another and treat one another with respect. I think you can learn a lot about a man's character by how they treat the mother of their children. In the interview, sort of said, it was the pain of the divorce.
You can tell the character of a man by the way they treat the mother of his children. But according to News Nation, Ben Affleck was given tapes of Jennifer Lopez from Diddy raids by FBI.
But no, according to Suge Knight.
The tape showed J-Lo's involvement in 1999 shooting, Knight says. I mean, whether Suge Knight said that is immaterial. Really, but I do question, Jennifer Lopez, because she was with and engaged to the Diddler, wasn't she? I mean, back in the day. How are you that close to somebody where you're not aware of some of the shit's going on? I'd be shocked if she didn't know. So you count on her to be a witness for the prosecution. She's trying to stay as far away from this as possible. And I don't know that I would, hold a candle up to what Suge Knight has to say.
And the big connection here is that the 99 significance is in relation to that 1999 club shooting that he was involved in, where a bunch of people died, and she was there. And so that's what they were talking about, is she was a witness. This was his statement. They go raid Puffy's house, and they get all these videos of J-Lo doing this and J-Lo doing that. He said, recalling her involvement in the 1999 nightclub shooting, where Moses Shine Barrow took the fall for the music mogul. And they know the fact that J-Lo lied and said the gun was Shine's or whatever, and sent that man to prison and destroyed his life. And they said they knew it was Puff's.
But the guy's already in prison for it, right?
I know, but aiding and abetting...
aiding and abetting after the fact. So, we did a video with the more victims and witnesses coming forward. That's going to happen in this case. And we're going to see, and this case is going to grow. It's not going to get smaller. A lot of times when you have a case like this, a criminal sexual conduct case, people tend to get cold feet sometimes. I don't think you're going to have that in this case. I think just the opposite. But you're going to have to question their motives, because there's a big pot of money somewhere, right? And who knows if they're motivated by that or if they're telling you a true story. So their story has to stand muster. Now, the other update is apparently Diddy's mother came out and made a statement. Let's see what she has to say. Mother says she's devastated and profoundly saddened by the allegations against him. I mean, it's a long statement. I can read it to you here. Janice Smith Combs, the mother of Sean Combs, through the undersigned counsel and on behalf of the Combs family, releases the following press release. I come to you today as a mother that is devastated and profoundly saddened by the allegations made against my son, Sean Combs. It is heartbreaking to see my son judged, not for the truth, but for a narrative created out of lies, to bear witness to what seems to be the public lynching of my son before he has the opportunity to prove his innocence is a pain too unbearable to put in words. You know, that is one of the things about this high publicity. It makes it really difficult to get a fair trial. And it also puts you on the defensive straight away. Like every human being, my son deserves to have his day in court, to finally share his side and prove his innocence. He doesn't have to prove his innocence. It's up to the government. The burden's on the government. I'm not here to portray my son as perfect because he is not. He has made mistakes in the past, as we all have. My son may not have been entirely truthful about certain things, such as denying that he's ever gotten violent with an ex-girlfriend when the hotel surveillance showed otherwise. Sometimes the truth and a lie become so closely intertwined that it becomes terrifying to admit one part of your story, which means you're not lying about another part, aren't you? Especially when that truth is outside the norm or is too complicated to be believed. This is not a complicated case. This is why I believe that my son's legal team opted to settle the ex-girlfriend's lawsuit instead of contesting it until the end, resulting in a ricochet effect as the federal government used this decision against my son by interpreting it as an admission of guilt. Him paying her off is not admissible in court. It's an offer of settlement. So they can't use that against him. But I do think it's fucking amazing that she files the complaint, it was settled that day or the next day, the very next day she put it in court. It is important to recognize that none of us, regardless of our status, are immune to fear or mistakes. Not being entirely straightforward about one issue does not mean that the son is guilty of the repulsive allegations and grave charges leveled against him. Many individuals who were wrongfully convicted, later exonerated, had their freedom taken from them not because they were guilty of the crimes they were accused of, but because they didn't fit the image of what the society considers to be a good person. History has shown us how individuals can be wrongfully convicted due to their past action. The problem with this is that it's all on fucking video. They got terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of video. Watching the world make jokes and laugh at him and laugh at my son's life crumbling before our eyes is something I can never forget. That is truly sad for a mother, honestly. It is truly agonizing to watch the world turn against your son so quickly and easily over lies and misconceptions without ever hearing his side or affording him the opportunity to present his side. These lies thrown at him are motivated by those seeking a financial gain and not justice. These individuals saw how quickly my son's civil legal team settled with his ex-girlfriend's lawsuit, so they believe they can receive a quick payday in falsely accusing my son. The federal government isn't seeking a payday. False allegations of sexual assault thwart true victims of sexual violence from getting the justice they deserve. To make matters worse, the federal government is now using these lies to prosecute my son. The injustice has been unbearable to our family. The worst part of the ordeal is watching my beloved son stripped of his dignity and his baby oil, not for what he did, but for what people choose to believe about him. I ask supporters, fans, colleagues, friends, and public not to judge him before you've had a chance to hear his side. I beg you to think about those who have been wrongfully prosecuted, to remember that not everyone who has made mistakes in their life deserves their entire existence to be judged by a single action or a few minutes. My son is not the monster they've painted him to be, and he deserves the chance to tell his side of the story. I can only pray that I am alive to see him speak his truth and be vindicated. Respectfully submitted, the law offices of Natalie Figures, Esquire. So this raises, an issue of family members of those who have been accused. Guess what happens? You find out who your friends are pretty darn quick when you're accused of a crime. My father, for example, back in the late 80s, was accused of Medicare and Medicaid fraud. He had owned an ambulance company. He also worked as a fireman, and his office partner, or his business partner, was in charge of all the billing. And they had a system set up, and they wound up getting convicted. And rightfully, and then we got a bunch of stuff reversed on appeal, but by then it was too late. Rightfully or wrongfully, whatever happens, whether you believed my father or you didn't believe in him, you learn who your true friends are. And when a mother sees a child, and you know what, and the Diddler is still her child. Sean Combs is still her child, and I'm sure she still sees her child sitting in a jail, and that's who she sees, her child. She doesn't see the big media mogul. She sees her child. And it's tough. It's really, really tough when a family member sees another one hurting, regardless of the circumstances, whether it's physical, mental, or in this case, legal. And, give him his day in court. I do agree with that. He is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And that means the government has the burden to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I am not a fan of the slow drip, 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 drip leaking of certain facts. The indictment is public now, so that's going to be public. But the other details about the case were, that leak out, I don't think are appropriate because you want him to get a fair trial. Otherwise, a guilty verdict is meaningless, right? But they did take 1,000 bottles of baby oil out of his house. That is a lot of baby oil. And that just, that makes you go down a slippery slope, if you know what I mean.
Literally.
So what I'm going to tell you is this. Let's just reserve judgment. Let's let the process play out. It'll be quicker in federal court than it would be in state court. That's for dang sure.
Let's see what I had pulled up on my phone. It's 1:20, so I know you're 1:30.
And let me tell you this about this Figure law firm, and I don't know anything about them, so I'm not going to try to impugn their character or anything. I'm not a fan of criticizing the government, as strongly as they are, because guess what's going to happen? The physical evidence, meaning the videos and the corroborating evidence of these victims, is going to come out, and you're going to look like you're going off half-cocked, and that's really for an audience of one. That is for the mother, and that is just for and understandable. But you lose credibility when you sit there and you go down the road of, wrongfully prosecuted and all these other things because you're just doing a public relations tour. You have the A-list celebrity parties, which I don't think he's had in years, to be quite frank with you. And then you have these freak-offs and his other depravity that he does in hotels and to the detriment of his victims. I think there's a dichotomy there, right? You've got one guy acting high society, and you got one guy acting like Caligula, like I'm in charge, and you're gonna be here for my sick pleasure. And then he shoots somebody. There is a lot there to unpack. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he's not been convicted yet. But the FBI doesn't raid your home and walk away with nothing, generally speaking. So we'll keep following this, and we'll keep you updated. We'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I am Bruce Rivers with our content genius, Michael Rivers. And, Michael, do we have any merch left?
Oh, we've got a ton of merch left.
Where do you get that merch?
You can go to clrbrucerivers.com.
And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Sign up for Patreon. And we'll see you next time on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face.
You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you bout to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That